All right, welcome to Rock Vegas, everybody. This is Glenn Rockney. Got Matt Fallon with me today. What's going on, Matt?
What up, brother?
You don't get introduced anymore because you're just you know what I'm saying, like you're pretty
Yeah.
much here more often than you're not. So you don't get introduced. It's just Matt Fallon. You know where to find him. Raider Ramble at Fattest Malin on Twitter. Yeah. So
Don't go there unless you want to go down a rabbit hole of just pure nonsense today, though. Just skip
you were going
today's.
off. You were going
Yeah.
off. So I've had Josh Dubow on the program, but you decided today to just do your impression of him pretty much.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I think what it is for me is like the argument on both sides for people. It's just flawed. Like it's like people they use like I was doing it on purpose. Like the numbers I was using, they're numbers, they're facts.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't change the number. Like those happen, but you can skew them however you want. Like people do that all the time in their arguments for people like ESPN does. He's the first player ever to have 29 touchdown passes and whatever. Like they always add something on there that like makes the list shorter. And it's like just I don't know. I'm trying to tell people more like go with what you see. Instead of what's on paper here. Like the eye test is the most important thing to me. So.
Yeah, it happens, and like you were making the case that I mean, and again, I know you like the guy. I wasn't high on him, but right now I think his ceiling's through the roof. Justin Herbert, comparing him to Derek Carr, right? Because some fans were saying, because the whole thing is from Raider fans is, let's say the Broncos get Deshaun Watson, right? Let's say that happens. Nightmare situation, not debatable if that happens. But
yeah, I'm not sure if I would watch football anymore.
I'll watch it, but I keep the bleach on hand. But you look at say that happens, right? And then people will say Derek Carr's the fourth best quarterback in the division. Now, I still right now I think Herbert's ceiling is higher than Carr's ever could be, just because of what he can do as a quarterback. Now, I will say the one stat that I would have used against you, other than what these people that come at you are crazy, is that I would have said that Herbert threw the ball 595 times.
I was waiting for it, dude. There's 100% like I like that's what I was waiting for.
Right.
Nobody said it. Not one person. Instead of that, he was 7-9.
Mm-hmm.
So like you're really that like really now wins matter. And then also like the difference between 7-9 and 8-8 was actually the records would have been flip-flopped if it wasn't for Isaiah Johnson. So it's not like
true.
Yeah, it's not like you can
or
really
Keyshawn Nixon if you want to look at it like that. I know Carr didn't play that game, but yeah.
Dude, that guy, oh my god. Yeah. Don't get me started on him, bro.
But yeah.
That's my least favorite Raider. Like everybody has like the guys they hate, and like it's usually like somebody that's getting overpaid. Like now people like the targets on Trent Brown's back. Dude, I hate Nixon, dude. He's my least favorite player. He's always on Twitter. He's posting practice highlights last week. Like of locking up AB, right? Bro, you played a lot this season. Like you played enough to where you're on tape, and there's not one play the whole season that he felt like it was good enough to share on Twitter. He was posting practice highlights. Unbelievable.
You can hear the wind in the background. Yeah, and
the throw comes in, dude. It's like the running back coach throwing the ball. It's like
Kirby Wilson with the dime.
Kirby Wilson throwing them. I'm like, bro, they got the David Lippincott throwing passes.
He's icing his arm with frozen peas after he threw that thing.
His passes are worse than his coach profile picture.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's Megan's Law. That picture. It's crazy. So the car argument's funny. I think it's funny when you come on this program because maybe I would argue that like maybe some people that argue with you are even more perplexed when they hear you maybe on here. They're like, man, what the fuck? Like,
I don't actually like hate Derek Carr. I think I hate the idea that like this one play. It's almost like the fan base has become where it's like if Derek Carr left, like are all these people like he's here, he's the quarterback. Like he's not. I don't think he's going anywhere. We've talked about it last time. But and if he wins. And like, it's not just him. Nobody said that. That's my thing is I've never said the defense is good. Like it's never come out of my mouth that like everybody else is playing well and Derek Carr is bad.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is that like there's a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL in history of the NFL that have had less opportunity. Like nobody, like there's a lot of guys who have never made it to year 7.
Right.
That
it's unique.
Like Vince Young is an example of a guy that was like winning, and he wasn't good. I'm not saying he was good, but like he was winning, and he never got like a second chance. Like he never got like a, you know, and it happens all the time. So it's just kind of surprising sometimes that the Raiders, like I'm surprised Gruden hasn't drafted a quarterback in the last 3 years.
Like, yeah, now I will say, and this is one of our questions. I won't even highlight any particular question because I think about 2 or 3 people asked this today in our mailbag. We will get to mailbag questions later. Is Carr going to get the extension? If so, when? If it's going to happen, is it going to happen? But like, yeah, the argument I'll make for Derek, the argument I'll give for Derek Carr is that he's actually okay. Take the 3 years with Gruden. I understand he's been here for a long time. I understand he's survived. I will say he's kind of a cockroach within the organization. Like he has survived a lot of turnover, which is nuts. I haven't seen a quarterback that with that record has survived that. I'll fully admit that. And it's
and that's what
yeah. But if you take the Gruden, he's gotten better every year under Gruden.
Absolutely. So, and honestly, I've said it before. I don't think it's all Carr, obviously. I think he's getting held back by John Gruden sometimes.
Yes and no. It's weird because like I've never liked Carr as much as I do now.
Yeah, but I mean, I think a lot of like the struggles that come in the red zone and stuff. Like I don't blame Carr. I don't blame Carr on those. Like I watched the Raiders last week. I don't know why I went down the rabbit hole of like watching the red zone opportunities.
You're sad. Yeah,
it's ugly, dude. They run the same 3 plays.
And then the first downs, just they punt. It's basically punting on first down. It's like, here you go, Jacobs, just run into Rodney Hudson's back here.
Dive, dude. But it's not even like there's no creativity in the run game either. I said that like that's my biggest problem with the Gruden is he's supposed to be this offensive guru, and like he has times where he's got like his game plan like against the Saints.
Oh yeah,
that game, dude. I was like, unbelievable game plan, like just unbelievable. He had like not Ruggs because Ruggs was out that game. It was Aguilar, and he was using Aguilar.
Ruggs was not out in the Saints game because he drew that PI. Remember that crucial PI?
Yeah. So that is the game I'm talking about. That he was using Ruggs. Like Ruggs didn't have a killer game or anything, but he was using him in motion and like creating, and like the Panthers game when Ruggs played. Oh, that's what it was. Ruggs got hurt in the Panthers game, and he played hurt in the Saints game, but he was just being used as like a decoy.
Yeah.
But in the Panthers game, the way that Gruden was using him, I was like, dude, this offense is going to be humming all season. Like in the way that he's using Henry Ruggs. And he has games where you're just like, you're like, he's one of the top coaches in football. Then he'll turn around and have a game like the red zone chances against Miami, and you're like, what are you doing, dude? Where Jason went into the pylon 5 straight times.
That was the worst.
So, I mean, honestly, the offense can't get any worse this year because Witten's gone. Like, no matter what they're doing.
Yeah, and it was tough. And, like, I'm sorry, I understand stats are stats. Maybe they don't mean what people think they were. It was still a top 10 offense, man. It was still a top 10 offense. One-dimensional, too. One-dimensional. They couldn't run the ball efficiently last year. Like
that's one thing that Carr won't get, even as somebody that's not a huge Carr supporter. Yeah, you didn't have the threat there, and Carr's a good play action quarterback, and with not having that run game, obviously the play action's gone. So really, your offense should be 3-dimensional. Your play action game, your run game, and your pass game, and the Raiders became very 1-dimensional.
Yeah. So do you think Carr? So, question: do you think Carr gets an extension within, let's say, within the NFL season of 2021?
I think he gets an extension before the season.
Wow, that's interesting because I don't know why. Like, why would they say? Why would they do it now?
They're going to free up some money, man. Like
cap flexibility, maybe
similar to like Mahomes last season. Like he got that huge extension, but it freed up money for that year.
I see.
So I think that's what the Raiders are going to end up doing.
What do you think the deal looks like? 3 years, like Cousins, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Yeah, Cousins.
Yeah. I don't hate that. That's the weird thing. I don't hate it that much.
I don't hate it much either if it frees up money this year and you're able to address something.
And you use it right.
Yeah, and like don't overpay Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah,
I'm on board with I know there's been some reports out there that Aguilar's agreed to a deal, or like he has like, he's going to take this deal with the Raiders. And I know you've seen that, right? Like,
yeah, a little bit, but it didn't seem.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have sources that Raiders and Aguilar haven't even like began negotiations yet.
I don't see him coming back.
So, and I trust like the source that has told me that I trust, and they're usually right. I don't like to just go out there and throw information out there because stuff changes on the daily, and if you get one thing wrong on that app, you'll never live it down.
No,
you say like I have a source that says this and it's wrong. So
yeah,
but I'm pretty firm that Aguilar won't be a Raider next year.
Yeah, I agree.
And like the rumors that he didn't like, that whole locker room thing, like some of it was true and some of it wasn't.
Yeah, and I can see somebody like Jacksonville, right? They're going to get their quarterback. They're going to get Trevor Lawrence. I could see them just going 3 years, 30 mil, or 33 years, 12 mil a piece, 36 mil. Here you go, dude.
Yeah. Somebody that needs a deep threat that like, but maybe they have a wide receiver one already.
He's going to be on a bad team next year. I can guarantee you that. He's going to be on.
The first thing in mind is Detroit.
Yeah, something like that. Somebody where they're like, we need to spend this amount of money.
They're losing Galladay. Yeah. They're losing Galladay. They're losing Marvin Jones.
Yeah, he's the first thing he should, and he should go get paid. Go get paid, like he should.
Dude, that guy, he did it. Like, that's the thing is like I was again like I get these like homers in my mentions, so I posted this thing and I'm like, you know what, the Raiders. This isn't even like there's no debate here. This is like something you can't even debate with me. I said the Raiders have screwed up the last 2 off seasons with free agency.
Oh yeah,
and they really need to if they get rid of these 4 guys, Williams, Joyner, Mariota, and I forget who the 4th one was. And I said they're going to free up all this. And I said,
Massive, maybe.
And then they can have another chance. And then I get a comment like from some guy, and he's like, he goes Denzel Good, Jonathan Hankins, Nick Kwiatkowski. He names like Richie Incognito and Nelson Aguilar were all good signings. And I'm like, dude, first off, Jonathan Hankins signed like 5 years ago.
Yeah, he's been here since McKenzie.
He's been a Raider for here. He's like one of the longest tenured Raiders.
Yeah,
he's right up there with Hudson.
Mid-season, he was signed like mid-season off the scrap heap.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, so like, why is he on your list? And then I'm like, you look at all the guys that people list on these things, and it's every single time it's like the free agents that the Raiders signed the last minute that they signed for a bargain, right? Mm-hmm. So that's fine. But when you signed 50 free agents last year, you're going to hit on a few, right?
Yeah.
I would argue like if your hit is Nelson Aguilar and you signed, Littleton, Collins, and you sign all these guys, and they like your hit is on the wide receiver you signed for the veteran minimum.
Nah,
that's bad. Like he outperformed what you paid you. He outperformed the contract that you gave him, and that's fine. You're not going to be able to re-sign him. Mm-hmm. I would hope like maybe like the Raiders kind of learned from that, where with Waller when they locked him up mid-season that one year, the year before last, they got him so cheap.
Yeah,
Waller's like criminally underpaid.
Yeah, and I think that'll get corrected pretty soon. Honestly,
yeah, it is.
I don't think Gruden. That's Gruden's guy. I think that's
he's like the 11th paid tight end in football.
Yeah, and he's the third best.
And third, like maybe second now. I'm not just kidding.
Yeah, Kelsey and Kittle, I still think got it, but
100%.
But yeah, that's. I mean, but still, you have the third best tight end in football. I'll take that every single time. I don't care what he's being paid. If I have the third best tight end in football, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, and he's I think he's only getting better too. And
oh, dude.
Well, like my friend Dustin was saying, is like ideally you don't want Waller to get 150 targets.
Disagree.
But. Yeah, I disagree.
I think you throw it to. I think you throw it to. I think the NFL's there's never been more tight end friendly. I think it's been like, dude, and he can play the X too. He'll kick out to the X. Not all his targets will be caught from the tight end position. True. They won't find anybody better. I'm sorry, like from somebody who already has a rapport with this quarterback, somebody who can win at any level. He was running fades.
You want to get
fades against the Chargers and getting him.
You need a wide receiver that that he trusts like Crabtree.
And I think that's Brian Edwards. I personally think that's Brian Edwards. I do.
I hope so, man. I was hoping they would give him more snaps at the end of the year.
It'll happen. I think he got hurt. I think he was already. You saw it before he got hurt. you saw him like Brian Edwards. You saw him get the targets against the Patriots. He was eating in that game. The play he got hurt on was an incredible play.
Oh yeah, that was like a peek into it. Oh.
Put Stephon Gilmore like on skates. It was nuts. And then he got hurt, got tackled wrong, and that kind of hindered his season. He missed a lot of time. People kind of forget that. And I thought, hand up, he should have been out there more, in my opinion. Like he should have been playing more. Zay Jones should not have seen snaps last year. Just no defense for it. With a healthy Brian Edwards. I agree. I'm just saying, I think this year coming up, I think he's going to be a real like if you had like a fantasy team, like you'd be like, oh, I'm going to like take this guy off the waiver wire after my draft and just keep him there, you know?
Someone threw him in my dynasty league as like a piece. So I have him on the bench, you know? So yeah. I was also holding on to Zay Jones. Like when I had him for a while. I'm like, dude, there's like certain players on the roster that I'm just like, I can't believe how little you offered to this football team. Like
nothing.
Like, yeah. And they have too many of those. Like they have too many guys. Yeah. They have too many guys that are like Jalen Richard, you know? I mean, there's people that like stand for him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, he's making $3.5 million.
Yeah.
Like for what?
Very replaceable. I agree. I don't expect him to be here.
He's a good blocker. So is Theo Riddick.
Yeah, he came in and did the exact same thing.
Yeah, and he was making, you know, the veteran minimum.
I think that ship has sailed for sure.
Richard had that one run his rookie year, his first carry.
It was electric. What a game! That was electric.
Dude, and like it's like that was like the like that's like.
And the Jets. Remember the Jets the next year? He has one a year. So then the Jets the next year, week 2, when Marshawn Dance. He
didn't have one this year though.
Yeah, the one against the Saints was nice. That toss, that was nice.
Oh, he did score. Yeah,
that was nice.
Again,
that was a really nice run.
He's really good against.
No, one a year. He gives you one a year where you're like, yeah. And then he had that drive against Detroit. I want to say it was the year prior, so 2019, where he was literally the entire scoring drive where they were just throwing to him. He was shaking guys out, creating yards and stuff. So he pops up every once in a while, but it's really you can manufacture that out of like a league minimum salary. What he was doing, no question.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I mean, Booker kind of came in and did, you know, like we've talked about that before. Booker came in and did a good job. Like you wouldn't sign Booker again.
No, God, no.
You know, and it's like he's one of those guys that like it shows you though that like you don't need to take running backs in the first round, but that's a whole other podcast.
Well, here you go. Perfect segue. Let's start the mailbag. First question from Stevie. This is at @StevieD_. Shout out Stevie, good dude.
I like Stevie.
Yeah. Do you think they target a backup running back in free agency? They seemed to go away from Booker and Richard late in the season. I agree, Stevie.
He's definitely right about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was weird how Booker just all of a sudden was not getting any run.
No, not at all. Yeah, and it was just Jacobs or Riddick. Honestly, I mean they were running. I remember
Riddick got like 6 catches in that one game.
Yeah,
he was like getting targeted a lot.
Yeah, and he has a weird number where I was like, who the fuck is that guy? Yeah, and you're like 35. Yeah, and
I don't like the number. I just don't like the number. So like,
terrible number.
That's
terrible number. He was single digits at Notre Dame. That's not allowed in the NFL, and that's a crime in my opinion.
Right. I do think they are. Like I think, you know, I don't think they're gonna a guy that I've thought maybe Mike Davis.
Yeah, what'd you say about James Conner today too? I like that.
Yeah. I mean, like you look at the list of free agent running backs for the last like 3 years. Nobody gets paid.
No,
so
they're going to sit there.
The idea that somebody's going to get paid, like maybe one guy.
Yeah, Kenyon Drake thinks he's going to get paid, and it's going to be the funniest thing when he signs for $2 million.
That dude's going to get like a 1-year, $5 million deal.
I hope it's here. That's my guy.
I hope so
it's Las Vegas. I think he's a beast. I'll take Kenyon Drake.
The list of running backs available is pretty good this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Connor, Drake. You know, you got the older guys, Fournette. Fournette's not old. I always say he's old, but he's not.
No.
But you know, or for Fournette, Bell. There's a lot of running backs available, so like the prices shouldn't be that high.
No,
I mean,
let him sit there. Yeah, let him sit there.
James Conner would be like he'd be an ideal backup for me for Jacobs because people want a backup that's different. Like they want somebody that's going to be like different, like than Jacobs, and like we need somebody that's can like explode and get a home run, or we need a big back. No, dude, you need a backup that is like very similar to Jacobs that can take carries. Like they both are injury prone a little bit because they run hard. Because
I would. Yeah, you want to take them. I'd like to see Jacobs on on like a 18 to 20 carry workload. I would love to see that.
If him and Connor did like a 60-40 split, that'd be sweet, dude. And then you have guys like, the draft is like another thing is like every year, dude, there's 25, 30 running backs drafted. And in the late rounds, you can get a guy that can come in and, take 10 carries a game and do a good job.
I would do both. I would sign one of these vets. Sign one of the vets, sign like even last year, Carl, like it doesn't even have to be any of the guys that were listed. Like Carlos Hyde was available. You know what I mean? I thought so too. Like they signed Devontae Booker, guys like that, and then you draft somebody in the fourth, or not even the fourth, the fifth, sixth round.
Yeah, that's why like one of my articles, I was like, Mike Davis from Carolina.
I like that.
He took over for Christian McCaffrey, and he's not an elite running back, but everywhere he's ever been, he's been productive. So if Jacobs went down for a game, you have a chance at getting a 75 to a 90-yard game from this guy.
And Gruden's pretty good at making, this random ass running back, I can get him some yards. He's not Shanahan, but I think he can do it. I'll give him that.
Yeah. So I would say, like, ideally, to answer the question, they will address it. It's not going to be they're not going to go into the, I mean, you might see him get something done early, and like maybe he really likes Booker, because he did talk he talked Booker up a lot. And then kept him. It was shocking when they kept him. Nobody thought he was making the team. And then, so Gruden really liked him. So they might lock him up early. But
remember Rod Smith? Somebody. Didn't they say like, oh yeah, look out for Rod Smith? I remember that, like in training.
That was my prediction. That was my prediction too. I thought.
I remember like a verified.
It wasn't me who said like, watch out for Rod Smith.
I think it was like Vic. I think it was Vic.
That was like
yeah.
It was. That was my shocking. Like he's gonna make the team, and then they're like Devontae Booker. So, but it was similar. That was kind of like the same thing. Basically, what I was implying was that Lynn Bowden wasn't going to make the team, and he didn't. He got traded.
Way or another,
I was like, they're going to keep they're going to keep a veteran over Bowden, is what I was trying to like imply. And see, that's the thing. The Raiders every year they take the problem going into the draft is they have the same needs they had last year. Because they reach for somebody, or they take somebody and it doesn't work out. Like, Tanner Muse, what position does he play?
Bench.
Yeah, I don't know if that dude will ever take a snap.
Left out.
He'll be a special teams guy, but like, come on, 3rd round pick. So what's the next question?
Next question. So we're gonna go to, let's see. Let me see who we have here. Oh, good one. Here we go. Raider Maki Mack. So he does the Mark Wahlberg Boston thing right there. So safety and pass rusher are obvious big needs. You think we'll address that mainly through the draft or free agency? Same question, but for safety and pass rusher. Yeah. I think, okay, so first off, I think it's hard to justify. And I know, like, I would be, me and you've talked about it before, and I saw some other questions about it, so I'll leave it really short for this second. But it's best player available in the draft, in my opinion. But the Raiders don't always do that. The Raiders tend to pigeonhole themselves into a need, and then they're like, last year, everybody knew they were taking a wide receiver at 12. Then you get to 19, and it's like, we know they're taking a corner. Which one? So it's like, it's kind of the same thing with safety. Like, Abram is going to start. Like, they're not going to not start him next season. But, like, who's your other safety? You cannot roll into another season with Eric Harris back there. So they've pigeonholed themselves into safety, and I do believe they addressed that before the draft. Yeah. I think Marcus Williams, keep an eye on him. They've been linked. They've been linked. I've been seeing that report.
One of the Marcus Williams, Marcus May. And then, if you went cheaper, you got Trey Boston just got cut, and he's got Gus Bradley connections. I expect him. There's too many options at safety in free agency for me to feel like you need to go into the draft pigeonholed into that. Yeah. So ideally, I think safety would be something I would like to take care of before the draft. Pass rusher, it's the same thing. Again, pass rusher is never deep when it comes to free agency, because good pass rushers don't get to free agency.
Well, I don't know. I got triggered there. The 52, number 52. Yeah.
But I mean, like Trey Hendrickson's a free agent, and I don't think he leaves New Orleans. They don't have any cap space though, so he might.
Yeah, no, I don't think they have a choice to keep him. I don't think they can.
Yeah. I was just thinking like that was a dumb thing to say because I was like looking at some of the cap scenarios today, and the Saints are like going to have to cut some pretty good players to get.
Well, and the Raiders have to too. I think Joyner's gone. Joyner's going to be gone within the. I would say by the time this podcast episode comes out, Joyner's gone.
Well, yeah, but the Raiders, it's weird because I was like, they're over the cap, but they still have like the 14th most cap, even though they're over the cap because there's so many.
It's a weird year. It's a weird.
So many teams. Yeah. There's gonna be some good players cut, but it's weird. The Raiders can make 10 moves, and I listed them the other day, and their team won't get any worse than it was last year, and they will be like $60 million under the cap.
They have flexibility, and
even simple restructures, like the fact that you could save $10 million by like cutting Jalen Richard and Carl Nassib is crazy.
Gabe Jackson,
like that's how much of like some of these like weight like Williams and Joyner is like 22 million.
Yeah,
no, it's 9 and 12, so 11.
Yeah,
so 21.
21. Yep.
Yeah, 11. Yeah. 21.
Close.
I'm like,
ballpark.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money, man. Like it's just, a lot of money tied into players that weren't productive for them, and so that's the thing. You go, if you cut Tyrell Williams, which I think they will within the next couple. But nobody can actually be cut yet, right? Because could JJ Watt sign tomorrow?
I'm not sure. I thought you could. I thought they could release you.
I don't think you can release anybody until the league year starts.
Oh no, I'm not sure about that. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not sure about that because I think you can only sign released players. I think.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. But nonetheless, I thought.
Anyway,
Williams is gone though. Right. I think he's gone.
Yeah, Williams, Joyner, Mariota, gone for sure. Some one-way trade or another, right? Yeah. Then, probably the more and more that comes out, I think Trent Brown's gone. And I know we talked about it. We both thought it'd be better to keep him.
No, I think it's getting near that gone. But for the safety question, right? For the safety question, I have just a couple quick points on that safety question. Good thing about safety now, edge rush is at a premium. That's a position I look for at the first round. I don't necessarily love this defensive end class, but there's guys there. There's guys there at 17. We'll see. I'm not sure. But with safety, how high do safeties get drafted nowadays? Not that high. You get your random like Jamal Adams guys. You get those guys. There's not one in this class this year. That
I was so stoked about Jeremy Chin, dude. I wanted him so bad.
True. So, but even then, he was in the 20s, correct? Was that not?
No, he went in the second round.
Exactly.
So yeah, you're right.
Doesn't have to. So defensive tackle this year. I don't want to be pigeonholed into the. There's not one difference-making defensive tackle. When I'm saying difference-making, I mean a guy that I'm just at 17. I don't let him get away from me. There's not one guy. Not even Barmore. I understand people like Barmore. I don't love the guy.
If they took him, I wouldn't be mad.
I wouldn't be mad. Yeah. But dude, there's so much more value. You got the two USC D tackles. You got the Washington
Nixon.
Yeah, you got a lot of guys.
Nixon.
There's a lot of guys. Both of those positions with second and third round picks. I think the Raiders have a chance to address those two positions on day 2. Right? You don't have to be pigeonholed into need on day 1. You don't have to be. Take the best player available. Look, the Raiders are a solid team. They're not a great team. So if you're looking at guys like I'm trying to see if you have a premium offensive weapon there with still the top defensive tackle on the board, I'm not sure that I take the top defensive tackle on the board at 17, if that makes sense, right? Because I feel confident that maybe on day 2 and day 3, there's better defensive tackles available. There's better safeties available. I don't think Richie Grant's going to go first round. I don't think guys like Nasruddin, I don't think that guy's going first round. I mean, not at all, right? I don't see him mocked there at all. So things happen.
Cisco's the guy I could see maybe.
But I would hope you don't take him at 17. If you trade back like twice and you're picking at pick 30, yeah, sure, maybe. But none of those positions don't have to be addressed on day 1. I do expect them to draft a defensive tackle and a safety to answer that question. And I do expect them to sign a veteran safety. Maybe
I'm adamant they're going offensive tackle in the first round.
I think that's a way higher value. I think that's good. I think they'll have their choice of their top right tackle. I think they will have the choice of the top right tackle in the draft at 17. That's a possibility. I don't necessarily love that, but I
have some sleeper guys for the middle rounds from that. Like, I know we got a question on that on tackles too.
And we'll get to save that because I will get to
the tackle class is insane. The offensive tackle class.
Yeah. And but like they're not going to be drafting a left tackle, I don't think. Not high. So they have a choice of the top right tackle because most of these guys going early. You're going to see Slater going early. You're going to see Sewell going early. You're going to see what's the other guy? The Alabama. Who am I thinking of? The Alabama tackle. Leatherwood. Yeah.
But Leatherwood's one of those guys that he might slip.
It's possible, but I'm saying they might not have to. Those guys are going to go early. Now, what I do see that there will be the top. I think they will have a choice of these three guys at 17, and I think it'll be very interesting. I think they're going to have a chance at Micah Parsons at 17.
Oh, dude, if he's there, you run.
Okay, but I'm saying I think he's going to be there. Look at who's going to go early. Look at the positions that go early. Linebacker.
There's no way Parsons goes down to 17.
Okay,
dude.
we'll see. We'll see. But I'm saying one of these three guys. So it doesn't have to be him. One of these three guys is going to be there. Parsons, Farley from the corner out of Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia. Yeah.
So that or Surtain. One of those three guys is going to be there at 17.
Yeah.
One of those three guys.
Kyle Pitts.
No chance, but we know my stance. My stance, you sprint to the podium and you draft him.
Is it Kyle Pitts? Is it
Kyle Pitts? Yeah, Florida. Yeah.
Kyle. I was thinking I was mixing up but you're gonna if you have best player available like the Cowboys did with Lamb, they didn't need CeeDee Lamb.
No, and nobody thought he would be there.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, what if Parsons? I'm saying, can you see a spot where there's a team that has no other need except for Micah Parsons? Can you see a team? There's a lot of teams that need other teams.
I did my mock draft. I did a mock draft like last week, and I got all the way down to. I think I just gave him to Arizona, like just because, like I'm like I can't have him fall anymore.
But that's always the guy that does.
Yeah,
he's the guy. I'm not saying he will. I just say he's
not
a lock. He's not a lock. Linebacker is not valued the same way that it is in the past. Like you get the Roquan Smith that goes early every once in a while, but a lot of linebackers they get taken later. Like
it's a weird draft too. It's a weird draft like for a lot of reasons.
And he opted out, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say like the opt out stuff. I don't know how that's gonna work, man. Because like for me, I love Walker Little from Stanford.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Tore his ACL in 2019, opted out of 2020.
Yeah.
So you haven't seen game tape on him at offensive tackle in 2 years. Then the Pittsburgh defensive tackle, Twyman.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had 10.5 sacks in 2019. That's it. That's his only year. And he's like, supposed like, people are like, where do you take him? I mean, you can't justify taking that guy in the second round.
No.
He's played one college season. Like, so like there's all these guys that like the opt-out stuff makes it even more like it's
sure.
Just like the workouts are going to be that much more important. Like you get guys like that have a bad workout. You're not going to be able to do that this time. Like it's like you have to, your workout has to be
good. You didn't play.
You opted out. You have like, if Parsons like comes out and runs like a slow 40, he might fall to this, he's going to fall.
That's what I'm saying. And the coaches will say like, okay, why are you slow? Is it because you didn't play last year?
Yeah, and I said this early on when this started happening, where college kids were opting out, and I'm all for it, dude. Like I think
protect yourself.
And
you're an investment. Protect yourself.
I'm surprised guys didn't opt out like before COVID.
I'm surprised we had a college football season.
Like I don't want to play my senior year because I already know I'm dope. Like or I don't want to play my junior year because I already know I'm tight. Like Trevor Lawrence. He didn't have to play this year. He was going to be the number one pick. Like if he didn't,
I'm surprised he did. I was surprised
if he didn't play, he would have been the number one pick.
Absolutely.
And so, like, I think, but one coach in the NFL that is going to hold opting out against you, John Gruden.
I think so too.
Like, oh, you don't like football?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I don't think it's one though. I think there's a lot of coaches that are like that. I think there's a lot of coaches that are like, you can't sell me on a guy that decided not to play football last year while me and my guys were playing football. You know, I agree. So anyways, we got that. We got that. Let's go to the this one. I found this one real interesting too, because it's something that not a lot of people talk about. Not so much people talk about Trent Brown a lot. Is Trent Brown going to be back? What's going to go on at right tackle? Could we take one early? That's all valid questions. But what about the O-line as itself? This is Poncho _. Are you guys as concerned about the O-line as I am? I'll answer this one. Yes, I am. I actually very concerned.
We talked about it.
We have. Not a lot of people do, though. Not a lot of people do. I like Colton Miller. Never did I think I'd be like, I hate everything except Colton Miller. I never thought I'd do that. I don't hate Rodney Hudson in the pass game, but I think he's a depreciating value. I don't think he's going to get better, unfortunately. Gabe Jackson, I want him gone immediately. Richie Incognito, please come back and please be good again. I please. John Simpson, I like his potential. I don't know about that. There's a lot of question marks. Denzel Good's nice and he needs to be brought back. I don't think he's fantastic, but he needs to be in a Raider uniform next year because there's way too much. There has to be some level of continuity and then right tackle, right? I didn't want to get rid of Trent Brown, but it sounds like that's going to happen. So yeah, I'm concerned. And I wouldn't mind them looking at a guy like Quinn Minehurst. I want to say his name is, and I can't remember what school he's out of, but shout out Gus Gare, put me onto that. I was watching a little bit from him. He's just a kind of a versatile interior lineman, can play multiple spots on the interior. Definitely seems like he'd be a good guy to address on day 2. I wouldn't mind that. Day 2 is going to be real important because I think there's going to be a lot of good value that slipped through the cracks on day 1, especially this year. So what about you, man? O-line.
Yeah, and it's weird because for the last like 2 years, you're like, that's the strongest position on the team. And it was like not really debatable.
Yeah.
I think you have like Miller and like I was not happy about that pick when it happened. I will say that like it was weird last year, even when there was injuries, that how good like the line played. Tom Cable did a good job.
Pass protecting, they were fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Run blocking we talked about before, where it's like they got bullied a lot. And there's 2 things. Like I think you have to have the Raiders. The reason they were able to succeed on the O-line last year was the depth, and that's what's going to go away, I think. Because when you're getting like, say Brown is gone, and I don't think they get rid of Gabe Jackson. I think he stays.
I know. Just
because there are too many holes on that line already.
Yeah.
I think Denzel Good came back. Like I was so mad when they signed him last year and they didn't give him a multi-year deal last year.
Yeah.
I wanted him on a multi-year deal last because he's the backup at every position. So like, I mean, he's not, he can't back up left tackle necessarily, but I bet he could if he were in a pinch. Yeah. So those guys are important. And I think when you lose your starters and then, you start to lose that depth, and instead of having like 9 guys that can play, you have like 6, and then you have 4, and then you have, so I do think that like they are going to go tackle early. Unless they decide, we're going to cut Trent Brown and we're going to go sign like Bowden or somebody. We're going to take care of it right now.
It's possible. I could see them throwing money at it. The Raiders. One thing they've done is throw money at the offensive line, and
every year for the last 7. Yeah.
Every single year.
As long as they don't, you don't go sign guys like Sam Young and put them in like the prominent swing tackle roles, and
or don't draft 2 left tackles in 2018. That's the one thing. Like Marcus Johnson brought it up on this podcast, and it's haunted me ever since. Brandon Parker, when he stepped in for Colton Miller at left tackle, played solid. You know why? Because he's a left tackle. Now you put him in. They put him in at right tackle for those years, and it was a disaster. So when you're building a team in 2018, you draft Colton Miller, which sure, fine, right? We didn't like it at the time, but that's your left tackle. You're going to develop him. Then you draft in the 3rd round. You trade up, get in front of a bunch of teams to get basically the first pick in the 3rd round, which is still a very valuable pick. You pass over guys like Fred Warner to draft Brandon Parker, right? Another left tackle. So just think of that from the team building perspective.
Well, the Raiders have never given the indication that they know how to build a team.
I know. I just come
on.
They
take these guys. Like that's what I'm saying is every year they take a guy that's out of position, and then they take a guy that's a project, and then the position's still a need the next season. So that's they stunt their growth by like.
But just not even taking a right tackle. Just take a right. Even if they suck, take a right tackle.
Guard like. the line play in the NFL sucks.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Like every team has struggles in the offensive line. So having an elite offensive line is a good thing. But like finding starting caliber guards in the NFL is not hard.
No, it's the easiest.
And the Raiders spend so much money every year on the guard position. And they overpaid Trent Brown to come play right tackle. I agree with the move and the idea. Okay.
And it looked good when they were all there, man.
What position did Trent Brown play when he was in New England?
Yeah.
Left tackle, right?
Yeah.
So you pay him left tackle money to come play right tackle, and if he played, we probably wouldn't even be talking about it. But I'm saying you're spending all this money on guys, and they do that with everything. Like Joyner, when they signed him, he was a little overpaid to come play safety. Mm. But then you put him at slot corner, so he's way overpaid because slot corners, good slot corners in the NFL aren't making $10 million.
No.
So, you get this guy, you sign him, you're going to bring him in to play a different position, and he's overpaid already, and now he's even more overpaid because he's playing a position that's not paid well.
Yeah.
It's weird. It'd be like the Raiders signing somebody to come play wide receiver, and they put him at running back. Mm-hmm. Like, pay him like a running back.
Yeah.
I just that's off topic, but it's like
they haven't set themselves up to be able to transition in the offensive line. It's kind of all being swept under from them at once. They've had there's guys like in theory, like I said, you should have that right tackle that, okay, maybe you do sign Trent Brown, even though you drafted that right tackle in 2018, but now that right tackle is in year 4, ready to take over for Trent Brown on a rookie deal. There's none of that was thought
about. They have no
contingency
plan on anything. They never have a contingency plan. Yeah.
So to answer the question, we're very worried about the offensive line. We have been, always will be, especially with number 4 back there. I've made cases for number 4 to be the quarterback, but if it's a bad offensive line, forget it. Like all that goes out the window. So next question comes from Dougie Fresh. At XX Dougie XX. He says, basically his question is, there's what under the radar offensive weapon do you like in the draft? And then it's a 2-part question. We've answered this before, but I'm down to talk about it again. If Pitts is there at 17, do you take him?
Yeah. So the under the radar offensive players, I've done a lot of draft research already on the top guys. I haven't dug so much into the late round guys as of yet, but I do like Tyler Vaughns from USC at wide receiver. I think he's got the ability to step right in and be a productive NFL wide receiver. Not athletic profile wise or anything, but my comparison would be like Denzel Mims, kind of like how Denzel Mims got drafted relatively high, but kind of got forgotten with that class. And I think that's kind of what happened with Tyler Vaughns. I think he's going to end up going in the 4th round. And if it wasn't 2021 or 2020, he'd be an easy 2nd round pick. So I think a guy like that to come in and he could play, if Edwards doesn't work out for some reason, that's your what we're talking about, contingency plan. You have to have somebody that, if Edwards twists his ankle and is out for 3 weeks, that can play that position.
Yeah.
I like, running back wise, it's tough because I don't think you should use high picks on running backs.
Never.
I made a list earlier. Hang on one second.
Yeah, I like that Gainwell guy. I think he's the Memphis running back.
And he's a popular one. He's one of those ones that everybody says what. It's one of those things that I think it's you have to think about what the biggest team needs are and when they're going to address them. Mm-hmm. And I think with running back and wide receiver, if they address them any earlier than the 3rd round, you're not doing good. And the running backs, I think this year, because college football, again, it was weird with opt-outs and stuff. So you didn't have who's the Oh, Javonte Williams is the popular like sleeper guy that everyone's talking about, and Gainwell. Dude, I'm still on board with Chuba Hubbard, dude.
Yeah, Oklahoma State, great running back.
And like he's one of my guys that like nobody's talking about him even, like they're talking 3rd, 4th, 5th round.
That's where I want to take my running backs.
Yeah, and then like I could see the Raiders taking a quarterback in the mid rounds somewhere.
Yeah,
same. Jamie Newman's now flying up draft boards, I think, but like that's a guy I could see. Okay, we might take a flyer on him, but I say that every year, and Gruden never takes a quarterback, and we end up with like Nathan Peterman getting an extension. I still think,
like I said, he likes MILFs. He doesn't like the young ones, man. He likes the ones that have just didn't quite work out with that other team first. Brings him in. I want to see him draft one. I'd like to see him try to develop a quarterback that doesn't have to play right away. I would like to see that. But you're right. I think he's going to go after the younger ones.
If Kyle Pitts is on the board and it's like Kyle Pitts and Micah Parsons, and like I would lean Parsons because it's like it's a need and he's good. But dude, I think Kyle Pitts is the best player in the draft. So like I'm taking Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
So even though it's not like a position of value, like you need it right this second. You know what? Waller can kick out to the X more. You run 2 tight ends instead of having Witten run to the pylon every goal line. You're doing Kyle Pitts instead, and your red zone efficiency goes up. So like I don't know. I'm tired of the Raiders. Like I'm tired of them taking, players that, just take good players. I'm tired of taking players that aren't.
That's my motto. Not just win, baby. Take good players. Just take good players.
Yeah.
Baby.
So like, I mean, like ideally, like okay, like at number 4. Guess what? Cleveland Farrell, he fits a need. Like when they took him, but Devin White's a better player.
That was also a need. That was also a need too.
So I mean, it's just like it's take good players. Teams do that, and like you take good players and you figure it out later. You don't like the Packers are a bad example because their draft was awful last season.
Yeah,
but like they took AJ Dillon. Guess what? Aaron Jones is walking in free agency. AJ Dillon's going to be their running back this year.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. And so what I would say, okay, I love your scenario of having Kyle Pitts, Micah Parsons on the table. In that scenario, the Raiders take Christian Barmore. I'm just kidding. But are
you kidding me? They take some guard from North Dakota.
No, they take like Richie Grant. What happens is they take like Richie Grant, and then it's like everyone's like, oh, he was cool. He was on my day 2 mock. No, but then what happens is, okay, Kyle Pitts is on the board. I'm sorry, you sprint to the podium and take Kyle Pitts. Michael Parsons, I'm sorry, but I can replace you at linebacker. I can replace you. I can find a way to do that. Now, the way I talked about this with Marcus Johnson last week, anytime you can play a certain position group, right? There's only certain position groups where there's one guy on the field, right? Like quarterback, right? So you're not going to double up on quarterback in the draft. Tight ends, especially with John Gruden, you can run 13 personnel with Kyle Pitts, Darren Waller, and Foster Moreau. And you could pass out of that 13 personnel. That is like a cheat code to make John Gruden's offense not fucking predictable and stupid.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So and what, like I said, what if, God forbid, I'm going to like do a Hail Mary, say all this stuff. Darren Waller tears his ACL. Then you have Kyle Pitts. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I'm just saying, like, you have to have that plan. And like, look, we'll get to this question because the next question is going to be about the defense. I think the linebacker play gets better this year too. Like, I think it does. I think that's one thing Gus Bradley is going to fix is that the linebacker play is going to be simplified. But we'll get to that question in a minute. So you draft Pitts is all I'm saying. In that scenario, if Kyle Pitts is on the board at 17, I don't care who else is on the board, unless it's like Trevor Lawrence, which that doesn't happen unless he has a gas mask bong situation or something. It still doesn't.
I always do that every year with like a prospect.
Oh,
Photoshop a bong in their hand.
Yeah, something.
And then they fall to the Raiders.
Yeah,
and we
give them an edible, make them piss hot. Like just
then they fall to us and they pass.
Yeah, all this Jimmy John sub, it was tainted. What? Yeah,
my favorite is when when the Raiders draft people, right? So like that year they took Hurst and every, so it was like Arden Key, Hurst. Who was the first round pick that year? Conley, was it?
Yeah.
No, I think
it was. That was Gruden's first year. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever it is, like I'll go. Like I always like going. Okay, cool. We reached in the first. We took
Carl Joseph, Shalik Calhoun that year. Yeah, I think is what you're thinking of.
So we took Farrell, okay, and Jacobs, okay, and Abram, okay. But if we reverse that order that's a good draft. That's like I like how we like justify the picks. You know what? Like if we would have taken Cleveland Farrell in second, he'd be a really good pick.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not how it works.
Or they go like, look at John Randall. John Randall went undrafted and he was a first round. It's like, well, okay, Cleveland Farrell's.
There's one ever.
Yeah, just things like that. Yeah,
no,
yeah, exactly. So next one, we're and this might be our last question because I think the other ones are kind of redundant. Where guys were asking the same question. That's fine. It's a lot of the same ones, but this one comes from. What's his name? Luis Felipe Chapa, Lucho at Lucho Chapa. Shout out, Viva Mexico. I think that's where he's at. Do you think that Gus Bradley, really simplifying things, that's been his theme, will help the D really improve? Because in my opinion, we have some talent, but we're lost all the time, right? These guys are lost everywhere. They don't look like they know what they're talking about, right? That's similar to what Will Compton was saying. It was guys just were thinking too much. They had numbers in their head and certain calls in their head, and they couldn't just be themselves, right? And what you said about Corey Littleton, I liked what you said about Corey Littleton, but I think Gus Bradley is going to be able to make Corey Littleton a good free agent signing, Kwiatkowski a great free agent signing because he's already pretty solid, right? But he can make him a great free agent signing, and I think he's going to help out just the corners just a little bit by playing a little more press man. That's all I'm going to say. He's going to be able to help those guys out, but I swear to God, if this defense gets really good linebacker play and solid corner play, night and day is what you're going to see. So I do see Gus Bradley making improvements on this defense. I don't think this is going to be a top 5 unit. I don't even think it's going to be top 10. Might not even be top 15, but if it's 18,
top 5 is
no
10 years down the road.
No, 3. But I'm just saying, like if you actually know what the hell you're doing, if you actually eventually pull your head out of your ass, you can do it in a couple years. But I'm saying like if it's 18th in the league, we haven't seen 18th in the league. When's the last time we saw the 18th ranked defense in the league? I don't know. I'm not sure I ever have.
Was it Kirk Morrison and Thomas Howard and those guys? Like
we had like one. That's a Josh Dubow question. I don't know.
Yeah, I just remember like we had like a top like 15 defense, and I remember our offense was so bad. That's when my dad when I felt like lucky to go to a game even when they sucked because I was like a kid,
Yeah.
And I remember like they would like bring the defense out and do like the fireworks and stuff, and they wouldn't even introduce the offense because the offense was so bad. Like it was like Kirk Morrison, Thomas Howard, and then that they didn't even introduce the offense. It was like they just did like the defense
and 11 other guys. Here you go.
And so I think that's a 2-part question for me. So I do think Bradley. I do think the Bradley hire. I said Bradley like on your podcast.
You did
before anybody. I said that's who I think is going to be, and I do think it's a better signing than people think.
Yes,
I think that he's established himself as a good defensive coach in the NFL before, and so did Gunther. So like that's my thing is Gunther had some good seasons in Cincinnati, and so like you can't do that. You have to. So what my thing is if the Raiders went and hire somebody that has never been a defense coordinator, I don't think that's good for this team, for the youth they have, for a team that is lost. You don't want a coach that's going to have some like bumps and not really like he's learning along the way too. You want a guy that's established a defense in the NFL and it's worked. Now
you want player development because there's been such high investments and high draft capital.
He has history of doing that. But that's to my next point is I don't know if they have all the current players in the house that they need. So it really like the Bradley thing is going to depend on what the Raiders do this offseason. I don't know. It's all about like, I don't think they need to like, don't cater to him and like go get old players to play for him and like do that crap like you did with Gunther. Like, just because Reggie Nelson played for you doesn't mean you should sign him.
Yeah.
And like the same thing applies with like Richard Sherman. I've seen some Raider fans like really wanting Richard Sherman. I know Niner fans that he was awful last year. Like he's not the same Richard Sherman, and he's going to be expensive. It's not like that's not a veteran signing that's going to be like $2 million, and you're like, you know what, get him because he's cheap and like he's going to teach. No, he's gonna cost a team $8 million.
$8 million. Yeah.
So
that's
it's not like you can't just go sign Richard Sherman for veteran minimum. Now a guy like Trey Boston, go sign him for the veteran minimum.
Yeah.
Have him start.
Agreed.
And draft a guy in the third and develop him, and it's your contingency plan. That's what the Raiders have been lacking. Agreed. You go sign Reggie Nelson off the trash heap, and you come in and you let him start for 3 seasons. Yeah. You don't draft a young safety to back him up. So what's the point in having the veteran leader in there to teach the young guys when you don't have the young guys underneath them?
Well, and also your veteran leadership is not your coaching staff. Veteran leadership needs to contribute to the team.
Yeah. Don't sign Jason Witten to come teach people how to fucking play tight end.
Or have him learn how to coach. I feel like he played last year to learn how to coach. He's coaching high school right now. I feel like he was like, hey, John, can you pay me $4 million or $5 million?
I can get heated about Jason Witten anytime. Like we can have a 30-minute Jason Witten talk.
Dude, my first episode was
Foster Moreau sitting on the bench, just rotting last season.
Yeah.
Like those, I'll never forget when they throw a fade to Jason Witten in the end zone, and he's like 6 yards behind the ball.
I remember when Foster Moreau took one to the house, dude. They threw it to him, and he takes one to the house. He shakes, and I swear to God, the safety thought it was Witten. I think he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll wrap this dude up."
I got him.
And
I'm not even. Yeah, I don't even need to wrap him up.
Foster Moreau did one change of direction that didn't take 10 seconds, and was like, "Oh no, I'm out of here. I'm done. Like I'm toast." And it was against the Colts, I remember. And I was like, that was electric. I thought it was Witten. I was like, what happened? Did he take Peyton Manning's neck fucking HGH shit? And like,
and then all of a sudden he has hair again when he retires.
Yes. Yeah. Classic, dude. Classic. But back to the defense. Creep back to average. That's one saying I like from PFF is creep back to average. If you suck somewhere, don't try to fix it overnight. Creep back to average. Work to your strengths, build up your strengths, and get back to average at your weaknesses. Get back to average. And I'm not like I said, average to me, 18 to 20. If you're in the top 20 on defense next year, I think this is a playoff team because I do think this offense, they're going to find a way to make that offensive line serviceable in the pass game. I cannot commit to the run game. I can't commit that they're going to fix the run game next year.
We'll see. I think it's something that they will focus on, and I think like you're going to draft high. So,
yeah, exactly. So.
And I think like on the defensive end, like the team in 2016 was the only reason they were even winning games was because they turned the ball over. So it doesn't need to be like, okay, we're going to be a top 20 defense. Just like it sounds simple, more sacks, more turnovers. You might not be a top 15 defense, but you know what, you create plays and like you make negative plays and you intercept the ball.
Yeah, like, and don't turn the ball over on offense. They don't have they don't turn the ball over a lot on offense.
No, but they have some excruciating like fumbles that like when the game starts to get away from them, they always have like a fumble, like a receiver like that doesn't fumble the ball, like Waller or Renfro we'll just randomly fumble and like, okay, instead of a 10-point game, it's 17. Like last year, I swear to God, like every game they had like a guy just like randomly just.
And it was contagious. It was like one would happen. You're like, there's going to be 3 more.
Yeah, like I know Waller had one like 2 years in a row. He's had one where he's trying to fight for extra yardage, fumble, and then Renfro had one last year, and I was like, he never fumbles.
Remember the one on the punt? Was it you talking about the one on the punt where he caught the punt and he just shot into the air out of his hand when like nobody touched him? You're like, yeah, sweet. Yeah. That's Raider football.
This is going good.
Yeah,
like when Doug Martin kicked the ball backwards.
Maurice Jones-Drew, how dare you not
Maurice Jones-Drew.
Maurice Jones-Drew, the double fumble, and then the next week,
we've had so many.
Then the next week, James Jones double fumbled the next week. People forget that was an insane 2 week. Now the Maurice Jones-Drew, they didn't actually turn the ball over there, but still, it was comical. Then the next week, James Jones catches a guy, fumbles it, picks it up, runs, gets stripped again.
Dude, Gruden always signs like some like I'm waiting for like who this is going to be this year, but it's like Jordy Nelson, Doug Martin.
Yeah, it's going to be
Jason Witten. It's going to be he's going to give AJ Green $10 million
or like Tyler Eifert.
Yeah, well, I saw a rumor about that, and I looked it up, and he's like not even a free agent
somehow. No, just somehow. Yeah, they're just
it's gonna be something. It'll be something weird, man. It's always somebody like weird, like that's like out of the league. Like Le'Veon Bell is like a sure Raider if he's a free agent.
I know.
Like he's 100% going to be 100% going to be a Raider.
He's fucking sucks now.
Yeah, we're gonna be, and then he'll be like we'll be like on the goal line. He's gonna put Le'Veon Bell in, and like here comes Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah, TJ Hushmanzada's out there.
Dude, we signed him that one time.
I know it was electric. Everybody remembers that. But yeah, so that's good. That was a good mailbag questions for everybody. I think that's good. I think we're getting close to an hour here. That's about as far as I want to go on this one. But we'll do another one soon. We always do.
Yes, sir.
And we'll do another one. Well, hopefully something happens. I think there's gonna be a few more transactions that'll happen by that time. But
yeah, we got about a month till free agency.
Yeah, and then whenever the combine is, we'll break that down. We'll do all that. So Matt Fallon, thank you for joining me. He's at Fattest Melon on Twitter. Let everybody else know what you got going on. Yeah.
I mean, right now, man, just pretty much this. I'll still be like contributing a little bit on a Ramble and other places from time to time, but probably gonna pump the draft content up again and start the Draft Addicts website up again here in a little bit. WordPress, it's like there's like a fee for the year, and like when the draft wasn't going on, I was like, I'm just not gonna pay for the fee while the draft. Right. So now it's coming up again, so I'll pump it up again here and get it going. So.
Boom. All right. Yep. Well, that's it for us, Raider Nation. Thanks for the mailbag questions. I appreciate you guys. Like I said, we didn't get to all of them. Some of them kind of were the same question, so maybe if I answered one, didn't answer the other one. But yeah, appreciate you guys. This is Rock Vegas. I'm at Glenn Rockney on Twitter. Yeah, check us out. Appreciate you guys.